I want to welcome. All right, I got to get the bulletin out. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Architecture Review Board meeting, June 28th, 2022, being held on July 5th, 2022. I appreciate all presenters' patience for our week delay due to not enough attendance for a quorum. Our first order of business will be the approval of the April 26 minutes. Mary, myself, and Casey, are we good to approve?
Yes, I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, can I get a second? All in favor?
Yep.
I just want to point out it was approved by default because of standard business practices of the board. Approval of May 24th, 2022 minutes. Can I get a motion to approve that?
Second motion to approve.
Thank you, Casey. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I did not attend, so
Okay, Brian, you're good?
Brian was having some microphone issues, he said in the chat. So if you can give us a,
Okay.
You can give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
There we
Okay,
go. Thumbs up.
Mr. Secretary, please note that the April 26th minutes. 24th minutes are approved.
Brian, you're having some bad feedback.
You sound like Darth Vader, only with a cold.
Mute him. Can we mute Brian?
Yeah, Brian, I'm sorry, I keep trying to mute you, but yeah, because your sound is real feedbacky and sorry about that.
Okay. On the new old business, we have no old business today, which is good. So I'll call new business. First on the agenda is 6AR-1-22 407 Brooklawn Drive. Timothy and Ellen Mahar construct a new front porch on existing family dwelling. Area variance 5A-10-22 approved by the ZBA on 5-4-22. Hi, welcome, and
Thank you.
feel free to go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if can everybody hear me? Can you give me a
Yes.
thumbs up? Okay, good. I might, my contractor might be actually joining the call in a minute, but I'm the homeowner. We have this project that we'd like to complete sometime this summer. It's a roughly 10 by 20 foot covered porch as an entryway to our home. I think that it resembles the house. It's a new feature previously, and there's still, so you can see in that picture, there's still remnants of what was a front stoop, which completely fell apart on us. We bought what we feel was the ugliest house on the street, which needed a whole lot of repair. And one of the things that we needed to address immediately was this asphalt roof that was on about a 45 that came out to the edge of that stoop. The bricks were deteriorating, the concrete is falling in, it's not safe for people, and it's our front door. And so we wanted to replace that with something that was a little bit more welcoming, something that we could actually sit on and relax and enjoy what we think is a pretty private street. That part of Brooklawn Drive is a circle. It's a cul-de-sac with 4 homes on it. And so we had actually our neighbors to the west of us are also building a new front porch, I think probably for the same reason, to actually be able to enjoy that part of the neighborhood. It's just we have 5 kids, and we like the cul-de-sac for as a kind of an extension of a play area for skateboarding and riding their bikes. And so we want a place to be able to enjoy them while we can see them do that. And also at the same time, have a proper front entrance so that when people come to our home, they're not scared to walk through the front door. So
Can
that's
you
our
walk us-
application.
Yeah, can you walk us through the materials and what's being used?
Sure. So everything structurally is going to be, I guess, gosh, what is it? Regular building materials. Anything that you could see, like the pillars there are going to be wrapped in a larch, but everything structurally is actually going to be proper 4x4 construction. That the contractor plans on putting in cement, I think it's called footing, underneath the deck, just on the other side of the current walkway that's there. The roof is going to be a metal roof, and that's pretty much all I got for you. Anything that's structural that will be used will be, to code.
Okay, thank you. Mary, you want to start?
Okay, I have a couple of questions about the columns. You've got just a simple column going down. It has no base. It has nothing, no detailing on it. And I think one of the things you might want to add to this house to make it a little more appealing is some detail. Also, it looks a little toy-like to just have a column there with no header or foot. So I just wonder if you're thinking about that. And also, were you planning on having that natural wood color, which is really a stark contrast with the rest of the house, or were you planning on staining that wood?
Oh, yeah. So the inside of those posts. So those posts are going to be roughly 6x6 when they're wrapped. Inside will be a 4x4 that goes from the top of the roof down through the deck or through the porch to a footer, I guess is what it is. So that will be the structural component. Just that the piece that you see is it's a natural larch from a sawmill in Naples, New York, that we will use a finish on, but that's really almost the natural color of the larch. That's what we were looking for, was like a natural, somewhat vibrant too, as you said, kind of it's different in contrast to the rest of the house.
And no detail to the columns then?
In terms of,
a base which is a little bit wider than the columns, or, something at the top. I guess you wouldn't see something at the top as much, but often columns have like a base that they're sitting on. It's like it's an architectural detail that's commonly used for columns.
we weren't planning on it. We were trying to just make sure that we had free access to be able to walk up anywhere. I guess we could. We hadn't considered it before, but it's something that we, certainly. I mean, I don't see why we couldn't add like another piece at the base to show that there's a separation between the top of the porch and the columns, but it wasn't part of our original design.
And you wouldn't use this natural wood color anywhere else, like on the door? Or,
No,
I mean, it just seems like it's kind of stand out by itself, but I'll let my other colleagues weigh in on that.
Casey, you have the floor.
Let's revisit the posts. I know the plans say 4x4 posts, and then is it getting wrapped with the wood, or is that that's the wood itself?
It's going to be 4x4 posts, and then it's going to get wrapped with the larch. So it's going to be mitered on the corners. I guess, to try to look like it's a larch post, like a natural larch post, but obviously can't use that for structural purposes. So there's going to be.
What would the overall size of the column, each column, be once it's finished?
I think it should be roughly 6x6 once it's done.
Okay, so that's where the rendering is a little bit more in keeping with the final vision versus the elevations that show it more spindly and narrow.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That helps because, you know, the rendering definitely reads better than just the little 4x4s. I think you need a little
Yeah.
bit more, you know, yes. It's a little bit more. I do agree with Mary. It would be nice to even just a simple, you know, rectangular base. You can do a very simple modern treatment, but it would also make a cleaner transition between your
Separation.
deck and the post.
Yeah. I don't disagree with it, with either of those recommendations. Just hadn't thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could, I mean, I think actually, you know, my wife who's not on this call, was the one who came up with the design. I think she would probably agree with you.
Okay. And then, sorry, what was the deck made out of? Did I miss
So
that?
that's going to be regular, decking. Like I'm at a loss for the words exactly. Technically, I don't know the name of it. It's
So like a
you know,
wood, like a Trex deck?
yeah, wood. Yep.
Okay, just normal 2x4, 2x6 wood, something like that.
Yep.
Okay, and then you're gonna keep it solid along the base.
Mhm.
No, nothing underneath is gonna be exposed.
No exposure underneath. That's the goal. Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like, I mean, just looking kind of at past photos, you've done a lot of work to the house before coming to us, is that correct?
Yeah, we did. We had an issue actually with, you know, our siding actually. We started just kind of buckling on the, I don't know how old it was, but we actually made a really valid attempt to try to get siding that matched the current exterior or the old exterior. And we couldn't do it because that siding was from, like, I don't know, the 1980s or something. We actually tried to harvest the old siding on the back of our garage to replace some of the siding that was falling off on the front. And as soon as we went down that path, the contractor that we hired tried to cut out lengths, and it was just cracking. It was so brittle. So we were actually in a very, a tough position trying to make a decision on what to do next. And so we decided to rip it down.
Okay, and all new windows, it looks like a couple change size potentially. Were they all casement now?
Yeah, we did that kind of like in a couple different steps, but yes, we had, unfortunately, this house needed a hell of a lot more work than we really anticipated. And we had these very old, probably original, you know, Anderson windows. You couldn't even open them. I mean, they were rusted shut. So we went through and that was another major expense for us. Yeah.
Okay. And I just wanted to confirm, because it's hard to tell from the photos, but the roof that's on the house right now, the main house, and then kind of the lower portion off to the garage, that's already been changed up to the standing seam. So this is just matching what's already been installed, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Honestly, I didn't have any other questions, just kind of clarifying where we're at with the project. So thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, Fran?
Oh, what's the underside of the porch?
I'm sorry again. I'm a layman. I really don't. What do you mean the underside?
The ceiling or the?
Yeah, the ceiling. So if you're standing on the porch and you look up, what are you looking at?
I'd imagine you'd see the framing, really. We haven't.
I guess part of the question is, are you having a finished ceiling like beadboard, or is it going to just be plywood, or how's it going to look?
I think what we would like to have is kind of just open. So nothing that, no particular hard ceiling, that if you walk onto the porch, that when you look up, you'd actually see the structural components instead of having, you know, a flat top, I guess, underneath.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Brian, are you going to be able to speak?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yay.
Hey, there we go. So the steps are going right down to grade. It's pressure treated wood. Is that correct?
Yep. That's the term I was looking for. I'm sorry. Pressure treated.
Okay. And there's nothing that's sitting on. It's going right to the ground.
No, so there's actually going to be, I believe, from our conversations, He's putting in some type of a like a tube system. So there'll be cement tubes that everything rests on top of. Well, actually, I'm not sure if that is the case. I believe that's, I believe, yeah, that's what they're called. And so my understanding is that the posts, all of those posts will sit on top of, concrete tubes.
Right, so he's got, if I look at the plan, they've got 4 posts going into the ground, I think. 4
Yep.
posts going into the ground below frost line, which is standard. And then the boards are coming off of that. But there's no other cement underneath that pressure treated board. It's just the 4 posts in the ground.
Yeah, and I would go by the, I guess the that report there. I'm not, again, I assume that there's going to be tubes there, but maybe not. Maybe they're not required.
Well, I assume the code officer and our inspectors will catch that, and we'll have to see the footers. So.
And then the next question I had is, when you say having the roof underneath exposed, what's the wood framing made of underneath there?
I
Is it
believe
2x4?
I believe so.
2x6 roof joist?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, 2x6s, but pressure treated wood.
Okay, and were you considering any lighting up there, or you just have the one fixture against the wall?
We have one fixture there now. We hadn't talked about that, but there is, there are a couple of old, outlets that we were just planning on replacing because the, casings for them were all pretty badly destroyed. So we actually have the power off to those right now. But we haven't talked about putting up any additional lighting. The light that's there currently is actually, does a pretty good job of lighting that porch or that area today. And so we felt like we would just stop there. We're not trying to to do anything really more than we really need to. Our goal is really to have a proper front entrance at the end of the day. And someplace that we can actually enjoy the cul-de-sac, and because there's actually two new families that just moved in, and there's a little bit of a changeover happening in that area, and there's 2 new families that just moved in with little kids, and we try to get out there and enjoy that space, and I think that this would be a great addition for that purpose, and also solve the issue of having a proper front entrance. So I don't know that we're planning on doing anything beyond what you see today. If we do, it won't be done for quite a while.
Okay, I'm all set, thanks.
Okay, I got a couple questions. Let's see. I'm going to compliment you on the simplicity of your design, which I find quite clean.
Thank you.
Couple concerns is your standing seam roof, and you've got a gutter on your lower roof. Those usually are not designed for gutters or troughs. They usually have a snow rake on them that splits as the snow slides off. So that's one question, because you're going to be getting a lot of snow movement and ice movement over a walkway and over a trough, which will get clogged. So I'm not sure if you're aware of that. You might want to have a conversation with your contractor on that.
Okay.
We usually do like to see finished ceilings under porches because there's usually some wildlife issues. Just it's an unfinished project in a lot of ways. I think what's going to happen too is with that standing seam roof, you might run into the same problem you were with your porch, where they're getting exposed to runoff. It's not a deal breaker. I'm just making that noted.
Okay.
So,
We do plan on putting up, I think you called them a dam, ice dam or breaker.
Oh,
We do
God.
plan, yeah, snow guard, yeah. That will be, part that's not on the renderings, but that will be included on the roof for sure. That was
okay.
one of the, we've had a number of opportunities to talk to our contractors since we first started this project, and there's been no major changes structurally to anything that we're doing, but there are details like that. I can confirm, with this group that we are planning on doing that.
So the other, you got the same contractor putting on your lower roof that put on the upper and the garage roof?
No, a separate contractor.
So you-
This guy.
You want to be sure that they have experience with the standing seam roofs, because if one little dimension's off, it reveals itself by the time you're at the end of the line. It's
Yeah.
essential. There's a lot of redos with that, so.
Yeah,
and you only-
trust me, we don't want to do any more redos.
Yeah,
Of
well,
anything, so.
That's the trick behind that kind of roofing. You get one shot at it because of to keep the waterproofing.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I think that's pretty much the only questions I have. You're more than welcome to call Jason's office in the morning and get our answer.
Okay.
Stuart?
Yes.
Excuse me, I just had one more thing, if you don't mind. I just wanted to point out that, around that perimeter of the porch, if that grade isn't perfectly level, you're gonna either have too much contact or too much of a gap underneath that skirting on the step. So that's something you really need to pay attention to.
Okay.
And Mary, I know what you're saying, but I think the word level might trap them. So you definitely want a positive drainage away from it too.
Right, I just mean at the line where the wood
reveal there?
meets the ground.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Everyone good?
Yep.
Okay. We appreciate it, and thanks, Tim. We'll
Thank you very much.
next on our agenda is 6AR-2-22 45 Blossom Circle, Chanel Williams, and Plug PV. Install a roof mounted solar. Are they here tonight?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
Chris
go ahead.
Paulson.
Feel free to
So
go ahead.
I'm not sure what you are looking for in this meeting exactly.
Well, tell us what you're proposing, what your layout's gonna be, where your utility lines are gonna be running, your conduits, etc. So. Are you the homeowner or the contractor? Is he still with us?
I think you had to mute momentarily, perhaps.
Do we want to move on to the next and come back to him?
Sure.
Yeah, that would be okay if you do that. This is the first time I've seen the plan set, so
Okay, so are you the homeowner or the contractor?
I'm the sales rep and they asked me to get on this call.
Okay,
So this is the first time I've seen the plan set, so whatever
right.
it says is what they're planning to do.
yeah, so why don't we come back to you? We can save you for last, if you would like. It gives you some time to review it.
Sure.
Okay. We will see you in 4 more cases.
Okay,
Thanks.
sounds good. Thanks.
Next on our agenda is 6AR-3-22 106 Norman Road, Edward Graham, install roof mounted solar. Is Edward on?
Yes, sir, I'm on.
Okay. Feel free to start.
Sure. It's pretty straightforward, very standard installation using Iron Ridge system. There will be no conduit or any cabling exposed. It will go directly through a roof penetration into the attic space. And then directly connect to the inverter, and then the inverter goes to AC.
And that inverter's in the attic or basement or,
It's in the attic.
okay. All right. Mary, any questions?
Could we see the layout, please, Jason? So they're all on one roof?
Correct. It's a southern facing roof, not facing the road.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm fine.
Casey?
What was the height from the top of the roof to the top of the panel system?
Top of the roof to the top of the panel system.
Yeah,
Your-
so how much above the roof does it sit?
Your gap in between the shingles and the bottom of the panel.
Oh, I'm using the standard iron ridge that was supposedly to code. I have the same, I have a smaller solar installation on my garage that is using the same system that a permit was applied for about 6 years ago. So
I was just looking for a dimension here and any of
And I
the,
can find it.
I think it's like it's about 6 inches. If I was to guess, just knowing what I have on the garage.
Okay. All right, and then I guess, so if I'm looking at the house, is it on the left roof? I'm looking at the front of the house?
Sure.
Sure, or yes?
That's the south side. That's the right.
To the right side.
Yes.
Okay, that's, we couldn't tell, I couldn't tell from the plan.
Okay.
So, okay, so so where you've got your wraparound porch, it's the roof above that.
Correct. Yes. See right there. The roof wraparound porch is right below that.
Okay, all right. I am good, thank you.
Fran,
I'm all set. Thank you.
Brian,
All set. I didn't have anything else to add.
my only comment is, and it's, I don't think it's apparent, is, you know, the dimension from the edge of the roof to the panels, that you have enough clearance for access. I believe there's a code which has probably been upgraded since the last installation you did. It seems like we just need to make, you need to just make sure you got enough space there. Yep, down on the bottom and on the.
Okay. Yeah. I think I can probably, I'll do a double check.
Yeah,
I can move that all up a little bit, and then I think it's like 8 inches or something.
yeah, I think I can't remember the clearance you need, but it's pretty significant. And I think it's, you know, for fire access, things like that, service.
Mhm.
You don't have any vents that you're gonna be blocking or,
It's all ridge vent. It's a
oh,
brand new roof.
okay, no vents for your bathrooms or your sinks.
No.
Okay, just make sure that if there are, you take those into consideration.
Yeah. No, it's a completely flat plane.
Okay. That's all I have. So appreciate it. Appreciate your thoroughness and making our job easier.
Yeah. Thank you. No
Thanks.
problem. Anytime.
Next on the agenda is 6AR-4-22, 110 Crandon Way, Nicholas Embassy. Did I say that right? Construct new deck and side yard of existing single family detached dwelling. Okay. All right, are they on?
Nick or David, are you with us today? David Ormandy is the property owner. He may also be in attendance.
Can you
Okay,
hear us now?
sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
muted by mistake.
Okay, please
We're
go
here.
ahead.
We've got a deck we want to put on the back of the house.
We got a couple sliding glass doors back there. It's pretty well private backyard. It's got, yeah, you can see a picture there. It has a row of trees on one side that kind of block the view from the street. But we had a sliding glass door when we moved in, and we believe that there was a deck there at one time, but it was removed. And we'd like to put one back in there. We're planning on using AZIC decking for the top with pressure treated framing and you know, the standard 48 inch post installation and aluminum railing. The size is going to be, I believe it's approximately 43 by 20.
Do we have any drawings or anything, Jason?
There should be stuff, a whole
Our
packet of information.
I believe our contractor, I don't know if he's on mute or something, because I
Yeah,
saw
they're there. Yeah.
I'm here. Sorry,
Oh.
I was waiting the whole time and I
Okay.
just lost you, so I'm here. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Nick.
Hi. Okay.
I think there is one a deviation from the design drawing you have there. The design drawing shows the house. If you look, there's a 6-foot slider that's listed there. Where that is, that actually projects out a little less than 2 feet from the rest of the house.
It's kind of the reverse.
Yeah, it's
as
reverse.
from
In
what
the design,
design.
it shows the house projecting, and it's the opposite. It's actually where a dining room is.
Which I sent over a
Yeah, Nick,
revised copy.
Nick just sent me a revised drawing today, which in our, yeah, so here's that 6-foot sliding patio door. I believe this is the wall of the house here.
Yeah.
All that money you're saving on that square footage. Good deal.
Yeah, well,
Mary, you want to go ahead with your questions?
Sure. We can't really see how it's detailed from this kind of simple sketch, but yes, I see that. You have a couple of cut sheets where you're showing the materials. Can you tell us about the color selections and the railing color selection?
yeah, the
Sure.
color selection is primarily going to be mahogany, and then it's going to have, I believe, English walnut.
Or is it the dark hickory?
Or is it the dark
Let me
hickory?
look it up.
It's one of the
Dark
others.
hickory.
Is it the dark hickory?
Those,
Okay.
can we see, Jason, please, the house, so we can look at the colors of the house a second? So the house looks like a pale yellow with a.
No,
kind of
No,
a-
it's white.
It's white.
It's
That's
white.
just the tone.
White.
Okay, and the trim around the windows has a, like a maroon
A
color or
reddish,
brown?
Yeah.
reddish tone.
Okay, all right, so mahogany sort of, right? So let's
Yeah.
go, yeah,
Yeah.
let's see and then the railing would be, so the two browns?
Yes, and then the railing's gonna be black.
Okay,
Black aluminum.
all right, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Casey?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, Fran?
If we could go again to like where the plan is or the photo of the back of the house. I think that there's 2 window wells that are they going to be covered by the deck?
Oh, the basement windows?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the deck is it going to be flush with your patio door?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and actually if you look at where the window wells are, one of them, the window well is just below our kitchen window, which is a crank out kind.
Mhm.
And then the other window that is there is now a sliding glass door. So there's actually 2 sliding glass doors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we, we'd like to be able to go from one side to the other, connected them.
You all set, Fran?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Brian?
In the same photo there, you've got your main electrical going into the house.
Yes.
You're gonna have to go around that
Uh,
at the bottom.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Just wondering, are you moving it, or because your ledger board can't go over that, right?
Mm.
No, what we'll do is our ledger board will have to stop and pick up on the other side of it, and then we'll bridge that together with a double joist hanger.
Okay. So you're just creating a gap then.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it should only be the width of about 1.5 inches. So I mean, obviously we're structural. We're running 12-inch on center.
Yep.
Actually, I take that back. My ledger board, we're actually running our headers parallel with the house. So probably where I'll set that first header is coming across, and it will be, I think we have them spanned out 8 foot apart, which we're building it pretty overkill, which is a good thing, obviously. But as far as the ledger board, if I had to just make a, I don't want to say a splice, but just a reinforcement right there. I don't think structurally it's going to, affect anything. We're only bridging it about 1.5 inch, 2-inch gap.
Yep. Okay. And then below the deck, you've got 26 inches to grade.
Yep.
Are you covering anything under the deck? Are you putting anything under it?
Yeah, so we're gonna do landscape fabric, and then a number 1 pea stone, raked out flush. Deck, like I say, a deck sits about 25 to the top. We're gonna do an 11.25-inch skirt board around, so won't be much showing, and anything that is all gonna be covered and weed proofed and everything.
Okay, I'm all set. Thanks.
Thank you.
The only question I have is that a laundry vent against the wall?
No, that is it was a bathroom vent right there. Yep. Unfortunately, we had a flood in our basement, and we had to have our whole basement ripped out, and all the baseboard heating, everything was lost. And we just took the toilet out, and that's got to be covered over. It's doing nothing now than letting bees or some other critter.
So it's not going to be obstructed.
No, it's not.
Nope.
Yeah.
So I would just be sure that you're compliant with your electrical exposures, and then that any other utilities you're working with. And then Jason, I just would put out a reminder about setbacks and variances if they're needed, that they get those reviewed.
We, Jeff and Rick and I looked into that, and because this is a somewhat unique corner lot, this is actually considered a side yard, so no variance is necessary.
All right, just wasn't sure the dimension. All right, any other questions, committee?
No,
I just had one real quick. Is this visible from the front at all, or is it only visible from the back?
From the back.
So you can't see the deck at all from the front?
No.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, you can call Jason's office in the morning and get our answer. I appreciate you presenting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is 6AR-5-22, 51 Branchwood Lane, Carmine Torchia. Construct addition to an existing townhouse, attached single-family dwelling. Is Carmine on? You might be muted.
Okay, hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm on. My name is Carmen Torchia, Structural Engineering, and with me also is Dorothy Henry from my office, who worked on the project with me. we're here tonight to represent Mr. Condemi because he would like to construct a new one-story addition. The address is 51 Branchwood Lane in Rochester. And our client would like to construct a 12-foot by 16-foot one-story wood frame addition, which will be located at the southwest corner of the current residence. Right at that location. We are going to, it's pretty simple. We're just going to match pretty much all the materials that you see there. There'll be vinyl siding, roof pitch matches, trim will match. We're also going to have a little box window that's going to match the one at the first floor there that you see. We don't need any variances for this project. I think we meet all the setback requirements and everything, right? And we show the utility easement. There's no issues with utilities. Our addition clears everything as far as all the record maps that we looked at. I think that's just pretty much it. The addition is just going to increase their living space that he would like to have more space for himself. So that's all I have.
Okay, Mary, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Casey?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to know, so detail number 4 is actually the north elevation is actually the front elevation facing into the neighborhood, correct?
Number 4, let me see.
But we can't see what one is.
You have the drawings in? Oh, yeah, I have the drawings here. Hold on one second. Oh, okay, so yeah, that would be the north elevation. So that's, yeah, it would face towards the front, yeah.
Mhm.
Is there a reason there's not a window on that elevation?
It's not really like a straight on shot to the front, because if you look at the property line or do you have the site plan? Our site plan that we did?
Yeah, I drove by it. I mean, there's shrubs
It's not
there
way
now, but
back.
you can see it from the road as you approach the house.
Mhm.
He didn't want a window there. He's planning on putting in a bathroom there
Yeah,
and a closet. And in all actuality, from the road, I think the corner of the house that's closest to the road will kind of obscure the view of that portion of the addition. Because it's a round curved road up there.
Okay, I mean, personally, I don't think it's appropriate to have an entire blank front wall, but that's my opinion. Other than that, it looks like the shutters that you're proposing, at least in the drawing, are a little different than what's in the photos, but will you be matching exactly what's there?
We're reusing the same shutters. They're reusing that window and those shutters.
Okay.
yeah, so the other one is drawn a little lighter, I think, because it's existing, so they're supposed to be the same. We're just, we're reusing the same.
All right.
You said it on there, right? Relocated window and shutter, yeah, it's gonna be the same.
Okay, honestly, that was my only real question, was more the lack of the front.
Okay.
Any detailing or window to the front of the house.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see in the proposed future layout, he wants a closet and a little
If we were
powder
to
room
put a
there.
window, it would be a smaller window, but I
And it
mean,
would be very close to the chimney area, because he's not gonna want a window in the closet.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Fran?
No, I don't have any questions. Hi, Carm. Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, Fran.
Hi, Fran.
Hey.
Brian?
Thanks. I didn't have anything else to add.
So I'm up. I really don't have any questions, but Carmine, it's not unusual that we do request windows. And if the consensus is to add a window, do you have a problem with that?
I mean, I don't know if it would be a problem. We can ask the client. Is that, I mean, if it's gonna be, you know, whether you approve it or not, I think we can work a window in.
No, it might be a recommendation. I
Okay,
don't
if it's a
know.
recommendation.
When we usually deliberate, you know, that conversation comes up. I just wanted to be open and honest that there may be that request because it was brought up. The other question I had is, you know, are there any approvals needed by an HOA or any of that sort of internal review that you may have to go through?
The client gave us the impression that there would be no requirements for an HOA approval.
Before we submitted it to you guys, we gave him the drawings, and I'm sure, you know, he showed it to the HOA, but there's none required as far.
Yeah, I just don't want, I don't want you guys to, you know, do all this work and then find out the HOA is blocking it or something.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think
Communication.
there's none required.
Okay. Well, you can call Jason's office in the morning, and get our answer.
Okay, did you have his number, Jason?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much, guys.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Yep, bye-bye. Next on our agenda is 6AR-6-22, 184 Brittany Circle, James Brosley. Construct addition over an attached garage on an existing single-family dwelling.
Hi, this is Jim Brasley. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all. I'm Jim Brasley, architect. I'm here representing David and Lenny DeMarco, who own and live at 184 Brittany Circle. They want to add a bonus space over their existing garage. The addition will house a 4th bedroom for their house, a 2nd floor laundry, and will have a small expansion to the master closet. This house is on a very small lot. It's only about 0.14 acres. It's a through lot, meaning that it fronts on both Brittany Circle in the front, and in the rear, it fronts on Lockterville Boulevard. So the addition they're proposing will be visible both from the front and the rear. It's a tight lot also. It's only about 0.14 acres. There's only about 5-foot side setbacks. There's really nowhere else to build on this lot that works for the interior floor plan other than over the existing garage. The house is small, even though it's 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's under 1,400 square feet. They're proposing to add about 344 square feet. So the new completed house will still be under 1,700 square feet for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. They can't build with the existing roof line. There won't be enough headroom over the garage. So we're proposing to remove the garage roof, extend the new roof 4 feet higher, add a window on the front gable and in the rear of the house. We're going to match all the existing exterior finishes, the white vinyl siding, the black charcoal roof, all of the edge trim and window trim. There's even a little sunburst detail. I don't know how well you can see it in the gable on the front over the garage. We'll put that back in the new roof up above. I think it's a pretty straightforward proposal. Does anyone have any questions?
Mary?
No, I was just wondering how that roof over the entry worked. I guess it just hits the wall flat at this point, like a shed roof, right?
The entry roof or the part over the garage right now?
No, the part over the front door. That's just gonna go into the wall of the garage.
Yes, because that garage wall will be up 4 feet higher.
What is the distance between this house and the one next to it? I mean, is this gonna create any height over setback issues?
I don't think so. They're only a 5-foot setback on that side. If you look at that photo on your screen now on the side where the car is,
Yeah.
I'm assuming the adjacent neighbor is probably also 5 feet, so it's 10 feet between. I don't think 4 feet will make that much of a difference.
I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's a height limit of 10 feet within the on the setback line, but I assume you've investigated that.
I've investigated that, and I'm sure the code review will review that if this gets approved and we go forward for building permit.
Great.
It looks, the height on the left side neighbor looks sufficient. Looks much higher than what's proposed.
Oh, yeah, but the other house looks like it's much closer. But anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
Good. Casey?
I think the only thing that struck me was the kind of the distance now between the top of the garage and the bottom of the new window on the front. I guess, did you look at anything to try to make those look a little bit more connected? Or have any thoughts there? I mean, it could be, or even like a light fixture or something that kind of bridges the gap.
Well, it would be easy to put a light fixture there. The window height aligns with the existing two
Right.
second-story windows on the front, 6'8" above. The top of the window is 6'8" above the second floor. It's a 5-foot high window to meet the current fire egress rules. We could put some trim under the window, I suppose, but maybe a light fixture would be an easy solution.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to like, yeah, I don't want to propose anything crazy. It's just a significant gap. But other than that, I mean, I didn't have any questions. Obviously, we'd love to see more windows on the side, but there aren't any windows currently. I see that. So at least I will personally let that one go.
Yes, and that side of the garage is the
Yeah.
side that's only 5 feet from the property line and the neighbor's house. You can also see on one of the photos, if you'd like to pan down a little farther. That right-hand photo, the house on the right is the DeMarco's house, the one we're talking about. The house on the left is the neighbor's. So there's really not a lot to be seen. There are some side windows on the back of the house on the first floor, and those won't be affected at all.
Right.
But they're not really visible from either street, Brittany Circle or Lockerville Boulevard either.
Now, being that close, does this become a rated wall? What are the requirements here?
No, as long as you're 5 feet from the property line, and I believe this house is something like 5.6 or 5.3, then it doesn't have to be a rated wall. Once you're less than 5 feet, then the
Okay.
fire code requires fire rated construction.
Okay.
I can't read that fine print, but I think it's 5.6 at the closest point.
I think it's 6.78, right?
Looks like five.
No, that's the other side. On the right
Oh,
hand
my
side of the drawing.
apologies. 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
So we're just outside the requirement that anything be fire rated.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Fran?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Brian?
No, I don't have anything to add. Thanks.
So I guess during your presentation, I didn't hear that you were expanding the main roof, and drives a question to me is between the main roof expansion and the upper raising of the garage roof, where the roof and the wall meet. What's going on inside there? You've got the existing roof in the back. How are you keeping everything from getting caught in that area?
I understand your question. I had the same question, but that garage sits forward from the main house about 4 to 6 feet. And I did do a little sketch of the view from the left-hand side of the house, and I can get all of that roof to drain. It doesn't show very well on the flat 2D rendition.
Yeah, so you have a cricket in there or
Yes, and there is enough room for it to drain down.
What about snow trapping and leaf trapping? Is there a maintenance issue there?
I think there'll be enough room, and I've done that kind of detail many times before. It doesn't usually seem to be an issue.
They don't call you back.
That part of the roof on the main house has to be raised so they can make a connection and have enough headroom to get from the hallway into this new addition.
Yeah, I follow that. I'm just looking at, sort of preventative maintenance down the road. So, all right, that's the only question I have. I appreciate your thoroughness on your presentation. You can call Jason's office in the morning and get our answer.
Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Yep.
Nice
Thank
to
you
see
very
you,
much.
Jim.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, back to 6 AR 2-2245 Blossom Circle. Our solar installation. Are you ready to go?
Yes, my name is Nick Klingerman from Plug PV. I've joined the call. Chris let me know that you guys wanted a representative from our company on the call, so happy to be here.
Hi, welcome. You can walk us through your installation, would be great.
Sure. So we have a 15.2 kilowatt DC rated system, or excuse me, AC 17.6 DC. It's 44 panels. It's offsetting about 94% of the customer's annual usage, so they're not going to be selling power back or anything like that. As you can see, we've covered most of the main roofs. It was necessary to get to the production that the customer needed. If we could have fit a couple more panels, it would have been perfect, but with the setbacks that we adhered to, we weren't able to do that. So with regard to how it's going to look, the panels are all black, you know, not like the old blue and silver panels. They're all black frames, black cells, no lines. The rails that we're going to use are black. The mounts that we use are black. As far as conduits go, we'll be able to hide the conduits through the attic underneath the array from the upper roofs, and even the lower array over the driveway. I believe we'll be able to get hidden there, but if not, it would be a small jumper that goes over the ridge to the rear array behind the driveway, and it would be very minimally noticeable. As far as the equipment on the side of the house goes, it will be located near the utility meter. There'll be 2 inverters, 1 small breaker panel to sum those together, and 1 100 amp rated disconnect, which will be the rapid shutdown device that firemen or utility can use if need be.
Okay, you're all set. Mary?
Well, I understand that you're trying to maximize space. It'd be nice if the layout on the left side of the gable were lined up together, and that would mean losing 2 panels, basically, as far as I can tell, because now they're staggered. And I'd like to see what that actually looks like, but it doesn't look great to me, especially with just 1 panel on that row on the other side.
Mm-hmm. You look at the street view, you'll notice there's not really a good line of sight to that roof, to that side of the roof. This is the opposite side that she's talking about. So right there, it's really hard to see the left side of those panels that you're talking about.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it up. If somebody else has an issue with it, we can talk about it further.
Mary, you all set?
Yes, thank you, Stuart.
Casey?
I do agree with what Mary said, but I have nothing new to add.
Okay, Fran?
Nothing new, but I feel the same way about the panels being aligned.
Brian?
With respect to the view that we're talking about, what's the mount height for those panels, the brackets?
Yep. So the panels are flush mounted, so they'll be parallel with the roof, roughly 4 inches off the roof to the bottom.
Okay. How thick are the panels?
30 or 32 millimeters, one or the other.
Okay.
Very, very small.
All right. Thank you. All set.
No problem.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Couple quick questions. You had mentioned the setbacks. I assume you're talking about from the outside edges of the roof.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that that's compliant and to code. We as a committee are pretty strong-minded about placement of conduits. So I would ask that the jump that occurs at the garage is undetectable, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's running down close to the wall and painted to match the wall or something on your backside roof. And your roof's in good shape now?
Yes. Single layer.
Okay. We really appreciate the solar industry and the installations in our town, but we are also very, I don't want to say strict, but definitely a little more rigid than probably most. So I appreciate your thoroughness, and you can call Jason's office in the morning and get our answer. Are there
All
any
right.
questions from the committee before he signs off? We're all
Nope,
good?
all set.
Okay. Hey, thanks for joining us again. And
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
let
good
your
night.
sales rep know we are a friendly group.
No worries.
I'm still on here.
Happy to jump in and help.
All right, thanks.
All right,
We'll
thank
see you
you.
down the road. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Bye-bye. Okay, on to signs.
Well, Stuart, it's up to
oh.
you if you wanted to do the, excuse me, do the workshop now to review the concepts for 1950, 1966 Monroe Avenue, if you want to do signs first.
So what's the, usually when we talk about a workshop, or either, at least my experience is that we've been sitting down with the project team and kind of walking through things. We've done some with other projects. We also did the one with, I can't remember the name of the development, the Erie Canal one over
Oh, the reserve.
the reserve. I can't remember, that was in person as well. But let's go through the signs and then we can jump on this discussion about the gas stations if everyone's good with that.
Yep.
Does that work?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
Give me just a moment to pull up the signs. Bear with me.
Actually, do you guys want to do our deliberation before the workshop and then just have the discussion on this and we're done with business? So if people
Yeah,
have.
Do you
fine.
want to do signs and then run through that?
Do signs, do our deliberations on all projects that have been presented, and then do the workshop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, so 1648, it's a revised sign, 2119 South Clinton Avenue, vital signs. Building face sign, BU Saloon and Space. So this is actually old business.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, Mary?
Well, they made an adjustment based on our previous comments. So I would say it's okay now.
Okay, Casey?
I am good with it.
Fran?
Yep, I'm fine with it.
Brian?
Yep, fine.
And I am too. 1650. 2250 Brighton Henry Town Line Road, Pierpont Visual Graphics, building face sign, Rochester Regional Health. They're pretty standard, their logo, right? No frame around it or anything, it's floating. Okay, Mary?
That's the sign. So I'm okay.
Casey?
I was trying to find out, like, is the edge, what is the edge condition? It lacks information. Is it just white, aluminum?
It says 9-inch deep flex face extrusion vinyl. So it's going to be LED illuminated, but it's got a 9-inch edge on it.
So just assuming it's just on aluminum sides?
Yeah, just a light box basically.
Okay. All right, I mean, it's pretty boring and ugly, but it is what it is. I don't know. Wouldn't be my design.
Okay, are you okay or no?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead, others.
Okay, Fran?
That was my same comment, that it would be better with a border, but that's, I have no issue with it.
So, Brian?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
So my only comment is I'm scrolling through some of their signs and some have a separation of a light blue line
Oh,
under Rochester Regional Health, if it's there, depending on what their location is. But the majority of them look just like what they presented there. So I'm okay with it.
Are there any concerns about this, if this thing is lit, about the size of the white box? I just feel like at this size, it's typically more of a channel letter or the entire thing is not lit.
Well, it's not directly towards the road. And it's also, we all know what Brighton Henry Town Line Road is like in that area.
Right.
So, you know,
That's 12.5 feet.
yeah, it might contribute to site safety. Don't see any campus lighting.
you mean improve it?
Yeah. I'm not concerned, but you know, that's something. What's the lighting spec on the sheet say?
I don't think we have anything.
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
Well, there's a code in Brighton, right? When the lights have to be shut off or no?
I would have to look into that.
I think there is a signage light limit. So I'm fine with it. Everyone else okay?
Yes.
Okay. So on to 1651 100 Canal View Boulevard, Premier Sign Systems, Building Face Sign ESL.
And you detect what's changing.
Yes, getting rid of the underwriting, right?
And
It's a little
increasing
larger.
the ESL.
It is what it is.
The
Mary
existing's not lit, right?
says illuminated cabinet.
No, I mean the existing one that they're replacing, isn't that just kind of a like a building mount, you know, just set in or flat?
I don't know. Good question. What's the SM stand for?
Yeah, what's CSM?
It's not a trademark.
No, it's not. It doesn't, it's no longer a federal credit union. It must have to do with what kind of an institution it is.
Savings and
Moan.
Mortgages? Money.
Save money.
SM is a service mark.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
It's like a TM, it's like a trademark symbol. It's usually service related. So they could put a TM up there, but they just decided to put an SM. I don't know. It doesn't, they could do either one. Doesn't really matter.
I see.
Mary?
Yeah, I mean, it's their logo, so I don't have any issues with it.
Casey?
I'm good with it.
Fran?
I approve.
Brian?
You know, just kidding.
I don't mind my initials on their sign, so that's good.
Of course.
1652 2740 Monroe Avenue, sign and lighting services. Building face signs, canopy sign for Whole Foods. Mary?
Well, I'm assuming the size is going through the proper channels. No pun intended there, no reference. But anyway, that's their sign again. So, I mean, I'm fine with it.
Casey? Miss Wegmans?
Yes, I'm also fine with it. No comment.
Okay. Fran?
I approve.
Brian?
Well, I'm fine with it, but here's a question. Normally we allow one logo on the front of the building. Do they need a variance for this?
Yeah, it's a good question. You stole my question.
So Jeff and I discussed this, and I believe all of the incentive zoning. It's all part of the incentive zoning that was approved for this this development as a whole. The building signage was part of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could have sworn we already kind of approved some of this, but I don't know.
Are they doing a monument sign too out front?
That
Did we look at
was not part of this proposal. That is going through a separate approval process. So you may see that,
I
Okay.
thought we looked at that.
or maybe you already saw
We
that.
did, yeah.
Sorry, you already saw
But
that.
that was under kind of the original.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too, but then like if you go, if you scroll down to what you have here, there's, see if you go back up where it's got the stacked logo, that's what I was wondering if they were going with a monument sign, because they don't show that logo anywhere else.
Is this stack logo not on the side wall here?
There it is. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so is that on the back side?
It's
Where the
Monroe Avenue.
expressway
I
is?
think.
That's Monroe.
Okay, so that's Monroe as I'm coming from the expressway. I see.
Mhm.
Okay, I gotcha.
Did you guys know this plaza is called Palazzo Plaza?
They actually did name it.
Yeah. It's Palazzo
Ugh.
Plaza.
That was a great suggestion, Mary.
What do you mean a great suggestion? I didn't suggest.
It's your Italian
Oh, it says-
background.
It says Palazzo Plaza. Yeah, he wanted to call it Brighton something, didn't he? Like Brighton Plaza or Brighton. Remember he made the big stink about that because everybody thinks it's Pittsford and it's not. He wanted to name it like something with Brighton. So I
We're
don't
gonna
know. That's
finally
probably in
have
the
a
works.
grocery store in Brighton.
Oh, there's a Tops.
Right, that's true. That's very true.
Mary, you're okay with it? Did we go
Yes.
through that?
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. So 2750, 1653, 2750 Monroe Avenue, AJ Signs. Zoom Tan, Zoom Fit. So what's the overall sign plan here? Can they have multiple colors?
I don't think they're gonna have a sign plan. I think it's gonna be like what Tops Plaza is now, where everybody can just kind of do what they want.
Can we just confirm that, Jason?
Yes,
Future?
I will confirm that. Again, I think the signage in general was all part of the incentive zoning approval, but I will confirm that.
Okay. Mary?
Well, the letter spacing doesn't look right to me. They've got,
Whole Foods and Starbucks was part of the incentive zoning.
It looks like it might be
They don't
two.
have a sign plan, so that's why each sign is coming in.
Mary, it might be sort of two different operations, but under one roof. Does that make sense?
well, they're changing the color to distinguish the words, but then they have additional spacing between Zoom and Fit as opposed to Zoom Tan. So it's just not consistent. I
Like-
mean, it looks like they're two different services of the same company to me. But
Yeah, or divisions, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I just think it's a little tight between the M and the T with respect to I mean, you could probably do 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, moving them, but that spacing bothers me. Of course, you're not looking at them one above the other. But I think that's a little bit tight. And I think they might be doing that because they want them to stay on their half.
Or metaphorically, a tan sticks to you, right? It's right on top of you.
And the Fit, what does it do?
Well, it's a
It
separate,
doesn't fit.
you work it off.
I think you're shooting in the dark there,
Uh,
Mr. McKenzie, but whatever. Anyway, in my opinion, the spacing should be consistent between the two. But, you know, if I'm the only one who thinks that, fine.
Casey?
I would be on board with that recommendation. In all honesty, I don't care if it's, you know, which one works, but I do think they should be the same. So whatever the letter spacing is, pick one and make it consistent.
Okay, Fran?
No, I agree. They're the same font, they're the same height, the spacing should be the same.
Well, looks like we have our answer. Brian?
I just looked up Zoom Tan and Zoom Fit. It looks like they're doing some kind of a rebrand. And the Zoom Tan looks correct, but the Zoom Fit does not. So I think we need to make the spacing the same for both.
Okay,
So is that approval with a recommendation or approval with a condition?
condition it.
Because Brian, you saw that their corporate image had the spacing differently than what's shown on this proposed.
Yeah, it doesn't. And again, what I'm seeing online doesn't necessarily look exactly like that, but they show Zoom Fit like as one word, just like Zoom Tan. So they're not showing them necessarily consistently, but if this was done a while ago, maybe they were hemming and hawing about it, but either way, it doesn't look right.
It's their
if you
previous
don't-
experience of us asking them to space it out evenly.
Yeah.
Above their windows, probably.
Even the sign company thinks they're in Pittsford here.
Yeah, see,
Oh, my goodness.
Burn.
let's deny it just for that.
Come back with the proper town listed on your sheet.
Well, let's just tax them more. Okay, so it's approved with conditions. Right?
Yep.
Yes.
Everyone's
Yep.
gonna, okay. 1654, 1890 South Winton Road, A Good Sign Company. Building face sign, Farachi Lang. Yeah. Mary?
I'm fine with it as long as it complies with the size limitations.
They'll have to get a lawyer, right? Casey?
I'm good with it.
Fran?
Yeah, I have no issue with the sign itself, but there's really no context. I know this is Suite 1, but I don't know where that is on the building.
It faces Winton Road. Trying to think of what used to be there.
Yeah, because I
Was it
did look at it and I couldn't really figure out exactly where this was, but
Kind of on the back side of the building. You gotta kind of go in, turn out to the plaza and drive around the building.
okay.
So, are you okay with it?
I'm okay with it.
Brian?
I'm fine with it, except on the face, it says Farachi Lang, L-A-N-G-E, but yet below it says L-A-N-G.
I think it has an E on the end.
Okay. All right, I'm fine with
Sloppy contract.
If not, they do now, right?
it. Yep.
Okay, back to projects. New business. 407 Brooklawn. Mary, are you okay with it?
Can I see a visual? Is that the one with the columns?
Yeah, that's the one with the columns.
Yeah, I would say let's make him put a base on those columns.
Okay. You got that, Jason? Casey?
I agree with the base. What was the feel on the underside of the structure? Of that just being exposed 2x6s?
Yeah, I would recommend a B board or something like that. A finish.
Yeah, that's not gonna cost very much.
No.
No, I actually had an idea though. If he ends up covering it, they can do the same wood coloring as those beams. That would actually look really cool.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's a good idea, Brian.
Arch strips. So Casey, are you all set
Yes.
before you take off?
No, I'm just closing the shade.
Fran?
I'm good with it. I don't need to see any treatment to the column. I like them as they are. And for the underside, I'm not opposed to the exposed structure, but like Brian had suggested, I would want to see the framing maybe stained to mimic the column, the larch, or I'm fine with them putting a finish, a sheathing that's stained, or having a larch veneer, I think would look very nice as well.
Okay. Brian?
Aside from the coloring and covering underneath, I just question the pressure treated lumber right on the ground. I know it can be there. I just wonder, should it come off at least a little bit? I don't know. It seems odd to have it go right to grade like that, but
I suspect they're gonna have a pier mount on that.
okay.
Yeah.
Those don't even line up with the post, to be honest with you. The one on the right. Right? Doesn't.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
And I, just put a note that our inspector and our engineers need to be attentive to that.
All right, other than that, I'm fine with it.
So we're approved with conditions.
Yep.
To the conditions, I heard 2 for the condition of the column base. Is that are there more than 2 for that?
At the foot of the column, yes.
Brian, how about you?
I would be fine with adding something at the foot of the column. I mean, it looks clean, but I think it adds a little detail that might be kind of nice. So I'd be all right with that.
I'm okay without it. I would definitely recommend some sort of finish up underneath the structure. Nothing would be worse than a exposed plywood with fasteners coming through it.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, if the fasteners for this kind of roof are long enough to come through the plywood.
Yeah, they are. They are.
So how many of us want the underside of the roof to be finished?
I heard 4, and Fran was mostly there, I think.
I prefer it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would prefer it.
And
I think
it's a pretty
I think
general
having
comment,
them,
right?
yeah,
Just no
Yeah.
exposed fasteners. We can say that, have some sort of finished work underneath it.
Okay.
On to the next one, 6AR-2-22. Mary?
Well, I'd be for aligning those panels. I know that means they have to lose a couple of panels.
Okay. So do you approve it otherwise
Yeah.
with a condition? Casey?
I'm on board with what Mary said.
Fran?
Same for me.
Brian?
I'm actually okay with it as is.
Okay. I can go with the alignment, but I also want the conduits definitely hidden from view.
Okay.
Okay, 6AR-3-22, 106 Norman Road. Mary?
If we're sure they have the margins, I'm fine with this.
Okay. So you're okay as presented?
Mhm.
Okay, Casey,
I'm also okay with it.
Fran,
Approve.
Brian?
I think it's fine. They gotta have like 30 panels. Like they've got 20 here, but then he's got more in his garage. I wonder if he's selling stuff back. Selling power back. That's a lot of panels.
And I'm okay as presented.
Yeah, he does have a garage. He's got it on his garage as well.
Light up the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Next is six AR-4-22. 110 Crandon Way, Nicholas Embassy and David, I don't know. So construct a new deck. Mary?
Yeah, I'm okay. If you guys have some stipulations, I'm sure I'll go along with them. There's not really enough information on the construction layout.
I've got one.
Go ahead.
My understanding, this was way back with when Paul was doing stuff, is that if you can't see this from the road, we don't look at it as a deck.
That's not true.
So
Except Brian, it's got plants. That's the only thing. So those plants could go. But you know, I know what you're saying, but
I mean, that was my understanding with him, is that if you can't see it from the road, that it's not in the purview of the ARB, and that's
this is a corner lot. You can see it from the road. I know that property.
okay. That's why I asked the question if you could, and they said no. So
Well, you asked
I
from
don't
the
know.
front.
I don't.
You asked from the front. That's what
Okay,
we-
but in the corner you can see it.
yeah, you can see. You
So
can
if these arborvitae disappeared, it would be very visible. And we discussed this amongst staff, and that was the conclusion, is that, you know, nothing's preventing these from dying or being taken out, and then it would be
Right.
very, very visible.
Okay, just a thought.
Fran,
I'm good with it.
Brian,
I'm good with it. I think normally we would want probably more detail, just generally speaking, but I'm fine with it. I got the picture after they described it.
I'm okay as presented. 6 AR-5-20.
Ask me.
I thought you were still out letting the light in.
I'm right here. No, I'm okay with it.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
Thanks for interjecting. Brian threw me off, I gotta admit.
he's a troublemaker.
I'm just talking too much today. I gotta shut.
KC, he knocked you right off the agenda here. Boom. Okay, 6 AR-5-22, 51 Branchwood Lane, Carmine, Torchia. Construct an addition to existing townhouse. Mary?
But with respect to Casey's comment about the window, which I assume she means in the back where the chimney is, right? In the bathroom, in the closet. I don't understand why they can't put a window across from the sink. It's not like people are gonna come up point blank and look askance at somebody sitting on the toilet. I mean, there could be a window there if we wanted to require that, that's all.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect location for it. Center the sink on that wall and put a window there. Next, Casey?
Well, I already said what I thought. I think we should require a window. It is the front of the house. But are we, so, I mean, I know you asked about an HOA. I didn't even think that you could do additions to these houses.
Well, if he owns it. If he owns it. It's a
Right.
townhouse, so you can probably modify it to a certain point. And that HOA may have a architectural review board internally or planning board, so. I'm
But if
sure
there
there's-
is one, who checks that? Does the
I think-
permitting process do that?
Yeah,
Or
the town probably would. There's probably a covenant on the property that people have to abide by on the subdivision.
I mean, theoretically, that's a private agreement between two private entities, so but I'll look into that.
I
Yeah,
guess I would just assume that it would have already been approved and that it would have come to us with some kind of letter saying that this has been reviewed and approved and by the HOA and then is now coming to us for formal approval.
I mean, that's why I asked, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of those associations do have enforcement, if that makes sense, where they have a board, they approve it, or at least they review it. So I'd hate to have the guy get a work stop order or boggle the town down with nonsense. So,
Right. Yeah, I would want them to get it approved by them first before coming to us and for permitting.
well, we can just say in a note, make sure that all,
I have
So-
received word that there is no HOA for this development.
okay,
Okay.
there might be after this.
This will be the cause.
So Casey, are you good with the window and as presented?
Well, no, those are two different things. My recommendation would be I think it would be a table and add window to front,
So you want to table it? All right.
not knowing what they would do.
Yep.
and how it would look.
Fran?
I'm good with it, but now I'm kind of questioning that because I do agree about the window, and because it's such an odd, it's not like we can say center a window and align it. We'd probably want to see it again.
So you want it tabled?
I'm kind of on the fence.
Okay. I'm going to come
about it.
back to you.
Yeah, let's come back. Thank you.
Brian? Mary, I'm going to stop a second. Mary, what was your vote?
Well, I would like to have the condition that there is a window on that wall and, we can suggest the location, but now I'm thinking if we table it, we can actually see what they propose.
All right, so you're a table?
No, I'm on the fence. So let's see what you guys think and then
I'm
we'll,
going to start flipping coins, you guys.
no, I
Look at a
mean,
coin. I'm flipping it.
if there's not a trust that they're going to put the window in the right location, then maybe we should see it again, but.
Okay, Brian?
I'm fine with approving it with a condition that they add a window. I did have a question though. Are there any variances relative to building near a chimney? And I ask because I've never, they're so close to it. I've never.
Only if you impact the draft, which would be up by the roof line.
Okay. All right, then I'm fine with approving it with the condition that they add a window, because there's a finite amount of space that they can really add a window and the size. So I'm fine with whatever they end up putting there.
All right, I'm gonna go with that. That I'm good with that, with approving with a condition of a window and not tabling it.
Jason, can you move your prompt? Okay, there was a little square. I couldn't tell if it was a laundry vent or not. Okay. I am good with that as well. So Casey and Mary, you got another?
I'm fine too. Can we make a suggestion for the location of the window?
Yeah, let Casey make it.
Don't let me make it.
I'm not sure what you want me to change.
Is that you, Casey?
What?
Who's that?
The robot.
How did you do that, Casey?
It wasn't me. I heard it too.
Is there somebody in on this call? Is the applicant?
It's
making the-
Sierra. Sierra, whatever you call it.
It's Siri or Alexa. It was a robo voice.
Yeah,
Oh, who's got their phone on that?
not
I'm
me.
not sure what you want me to change. Yeah, I would say we suggest locating the window, aligning the window with the bathroom sink. Because they assumed that we would make them put it in the closet, which they didn't want to do. So
Well,
I don't
here's
know
a
why people
question
wouldn't
for you.
want to put a window in a bathroom anyway for ventilation.
Yeah, so here's
I
a
mean-
question for you. Do you want the sink centered on that wall so that the window's centered?
The sink's not on the outside wall, so
Well,
Right, what do you mean?
but your window will penetrate it.
Yeah, well, what do you mean centered?
Just to make sure that between the house wall and the corner of the new addition, your sink will be centered there with the window.
Oh, I see, I see. Well, that's
Otherwise,
determined by
your
the,
window may be to the left or the right of center and look awkward, worse than the blank wall.
I see what you're saying. Yes, that would look good. If, and also let's look at the alignment with the other windows. I mean, it should be centered on the windows that are in the facade too as well, even though it's a small window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is getting into the realm of, potentially making the closet smaller and the bathroom bigger, if I'm understanding correctly.
Inches by inches.
It's inches. I think the powder room will need to have a certain space between the toilet and the sink, and it looks like it's similar to the door opening, although not exactly. And that's just a toilet symbol anyway. It's not the actual toilet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we could say left of just aligned with the center line in outside of the bathroom.
And centered on the sink or whatever, or in the position there. Well, I'll leave it to you wordsmithies.
So you want the sink centered on the exterior wall.
No, the right line aligned with the center of the wall. So the right side, the right edge of the window is aligned with the center of the wall.
This is where I wish
Right,
we
as
had
far as
sketches.
as far as the window goes, yes, but as far as telling them where to put the sink, I don't think we can do that.
Well, it's
Right.
based on what's presented. It's based on what's presented, and that's the way you communicate to him. He's got a
Right.
plan. And if we're making the recommendation of placing the window above the sink or at the sink, but the window looks better centered on the wall, how else do you explain it? Right?
Well, wait a second. We can't really do that, Stuart, because if we center it on the wall, there's a good 2.5 feet of the wall that's tucked behind the chimney. So that kind of, what center are you talking about? The center that you see from looking straight on, or the actual center of the wall? So I would just have it refer to the sink, or else not tell them where the location is and just tell them to put the window in.
That's fine. You guys, we all have one vote, so.
So that would be my vote, is to require the window and not stipulate center, because I think that's gonna open a can of worms. I think the only place they'd put it is across from the sink.
So when they rewrite the history of Brighton, they'll know the Scipione effect.
Scipione.
Scipione effect. All our plazas will have Italian names. All our
Palazzo.
off-centered.
Well, they should have called it
Palazzo
the Piazza Plaza, because then it would be like saying Plaza, and now it's saying Palace Plaza.
Casey?
Go for it.
Fran?
Yep, approve with suggestion.
Okay. All right. Brian, any last comments?
Oh, good to go.
Okay. You got everything there, Jason, you need? All right. So next is 6AR-6-22, 184 Brittany Circle, James Brosley. Mary?
It appears to be okay.
Yeah, I thought he did all right. Casey?
Yeah, I was okay with it.
Fran?
I approve.
Brian?
Yep, good to go.
Okay, please note approved as presented. All right. Everyone have time for a workshop?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we limit the workshop to no more than 30 minutes? Is everyone good with that?
We won't need 30 minutes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay,
So how's
Jason,
it work?
you're on.
Okay, can you hear me, folks?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you. My name is Jerry Goldman. I live at 59 Branchwood Lane in the town of Brighton. So I'm the one who texted in and said there was no HOA on the 51 Branchwood Lane.
Oh, he's a mole.
I wasn't here for that. I'm familiar with half of the applications that are on tonight, so I wasn't participating in any of them except for this one.
I always appreciate an assist from Jerry. Thank you, Jerry.
See, I would have thought you would have complimented us on our thoroughness of bringing it up.
I do greatly appreciate your thoroughness. My group probably doesn't necessarily appreciate your thoroughness to the extent that's an hour and 45 minutes in from when we started, but
Yeah, I got to apologize. I didn't know you were, I thought it was just the internal committee. So if I had known that.
Not at all. Let me introduce a group that are here for this application from Quickly's PEM LLC is Ken Pirelli and Lou Taragnoli. And in addition, we have our project architect, Andrew Sisson from Centerline Architecture. Let me take a couple of minutes and tell you how we got here. I'm not used to a virtual workshop either, Stuart. So to that extent, this background may have some value. PEM and Quickly's are a family-owned business. They started out with one gas station, and they've taken on a lot of interesting projects over the course of the years with small sites that are non-conforming, that are a little bit different, and try to do something different with them to match the communities that they are going into. So if someone goes in and says, I saw Quickly someplace, I don't like that, that is not necessarily what we're talking about here in Brighton. There's been a lot of effort that's gone into this particular site. As you take a look at the site plan, what you see here is basically two existing lots. The gas station lot is at the corner of Monroe and Elmwood, and where you see the gas pumps, roughly, if you were to draw a line over there, is currently a hairdresser, and currently there's a little building over there. The PEM folks did acquire both parcels with the idea of upgrading the gasoline facility, getting rid of the service aspect of it, and doing a nice convenience store, which frankly, as a Brighton resident, I appreciate on this corner if we can get that and make that happen. In order to conform with the zoning, our original plans had the building roughly where the gas pumps are right now, and leaving the gas pumps where they were toward the street. That is something which doesn't require a use variance, but requires differently from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Use variance would be very difficult to get for this. So we went through the process with the town planning board, and I'd say we're probably 80% of the way done with that process. And the planning board said, we really would like to see an exploration of whether, in fact, we can put the building on the corner. That was taken to the town supervisor to see whether there's any interest in handling this through an incentive zoning. There was. So we started that process in dealing with the town board. And the town board met with us, and they liked the idea of the building in the front, gas pumps in the back. But board members had various ideas of what they thought the building should be. Should it be 3-story look? Should it be something that's more conforming to the gas station? Should there be an enclosed area in the front, which is one of our initial designs, which would be an outdoor seating area coming off of the building? The net result was that is what you're seeing here from a site plan point of view. And that is that Quickly's, unlike almost anybody I know on a building this size, has agreed to have two entrances, one facing the gas pumps,
one facing the corner of Monroe and Elmwood. In addition, there is no fenced in area in the front. Basically, what you're looking at in the front is kind of a pocket park. Does provide for pedestrian access from both Monroe and Elmwood, coming nowhere near the drive aisles or anything of that sort. I'm gonna let Andrew really walk through the plans on this, Jason, just so that you know. I wanted to focus on the site plan for a couple more seconds, and then turn it over to Andrew to talk about some of the finer details of what we're talking about. But the idea was to try to do something which was very effective on the corner. Earlier iterations had a wall and essentially a monument sign. That's now gone. We're now talking about the elevations that you're going to see presented to you. Quickly's has agreed to a lot of flexibility relative to design. So we do want to hear what the ARB has to say and your offerings relative to it on issues like building materials. We have some thoughts on fenestration, what we can do and what we can't do because of the nature of the business and everything else. The building itself is approximately 2,500 square feet at this location, smaller than what they normally would like. But at the same time, it does provide for a good convenience store servicing the 12 corners. This layout does provide it being a convenience store with gas pumps as opposed to gas pumps that have a convenience store behind it. So with that introduction, what I'm going to do is to turn it over to Andrew, unless Ken or Lou have any thoughts on this, in terms of wanting to share their thoughts on how we got here as well. So Ken, Lou, are you up, or then Andrew?
Gary, thank you. This is Lou. I know I'll defer to Andrew, and most anxious to hear the ARB's comments with regard to where we are with our building elevations.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. This is Andrew Sisson with Centerline Architecture and Design. Jerry gave a really good brief on the site, so I'm going to limit my my conversation to really the building and how we got to the building presented for you guys. So when we initially started design, we did our site due diligence and really quickly learned the importance of the site. It's very prominent and it receives a lot of pedestrian and vehicle circulation. So with that, all four sides are very visible. So we knew the design needed to be sensitive to a lot of factors at play. I'll first talk about the massing of the building. So really the Quickly's model, it uses a rectilinear footprint from a functionality standpoint. And we wanted to break up the monotony of that rectangle footprint. So if you don't mind going back a page to the front rendering. So what we've done is we've created 3 separate massings and we've arranged them in an asymmetrical fashion. The highest of the massing represents the entry. So with any gas station or convenience store, you have a lot of mixed pedestrian and vehicle circulation. So, it can create a safety hazard if there's not clear circulation. So with the tall massing at the front, it really makes the entry very clear and easy to identify. Looking at the materiality, so looking around the surrounding neighborhood, we noticed lots of use of red brick as well as earth tones. So we've tried to mimic that. We have a red brick base, and then we've used horizontal Trex in 2 different tones, and then finally a painted stucco. We've arranged the materials in a horizontal nature. We thought it was fitting with how much horizontal traffic there is around the corner. It made sense to mimic that with a horizontal palette. Now, each one of those massings that I spoke about gets a different material treatment. And what that does is it creates interest on each facade. And then the building is unified by a continuous blue horizontal band that stretches around. If you don't mind, go to the next slide, please. So we talked about the importance of this corner. So the building sits back in it, and as Jerry spoke, it creates a little pocket park. We wanted to make our building work with that pocket park, so that's why we have a secondary entry. This was not easy to do from a program standpoint, but we've made it work. And then we accentuate that entry by creating a covered area out front. And it's just be a really nice place for people walking through. You know, you come to the corner and you'd really suck you in, and it'd just be a really nice place to be. So with that, you know, that's kind of an overview of the building itself. I'd like to open it up to any questions you guys may have.
Mary, do you want to start? I'll go in our order.
Can we see the front facade, the one facing the 12 corners, please, Jason? No, there's an elevation of it, I think. No, that's the back where the gas.
So it would be page 13, Jason.
Because I just wanted to see it because we hadn't seen that.
Yeah, so it'd be the northwest elevation on the bottom left there.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a larger view of the elevation like you did.
Page 10 would probably be a better view here.
The axon, yeah. There it is. Okay. Well, first of all, I really like the idea of having the parking and the pumps in the back, and so that is really positive. But you know, as far as gas stations tend to be, you know, a bit of an eyesore, and this really works well with that. Solves that problem. I'm surprised you can move the pumps. There are usually some brownfield issues and things like that, but that's not our problem here at the Architectural Review Board. So given that it has to be a gas station, I think you did a good job. I don't know, you know, obviously the landscaping is it's kind of schematic right now. Hopefully that'll be developed a little more, because if you're going to put a lawn at the toe of the shoe, it's just going to get myrtleized. So, you know, maybe it needs a little more of an edge on the green space, but I think that overall it's a good direction. So I'll leave the more finer architectural comments to my colleagues, but I like it pretty much.
Casey?
Okay, so I also appreciate the site development. I know we'd seen this a couple years ago. I think they'd given us a couple options to look at. So I really like that it, you know, did move forward with having the building out front at 12 corners and providing a slight little park area and getting those, you know, the pumps in the back. So I think that's really a nice, you know, a nice way to start. I gotta say, so I did look online at some other quickies in different areas. So I have seen they're pretty, they do like to, you know, customize per the neighborhoods and the communities that they're in. So for this one, I mean, personally, I would really push for a lot more brick. I think this is the one location, 12 corners. Right now, all of the buildings that come to this intersection are full height brick. From base all the way up to parapet. You got the school, you got the plaza across the way. And then even when you stretch over, you know, to the other side to, Winton Road, those are all brick buildings. So I think we really have to amp it up more than this and really tie that in, because I think, you know, there's been a lot of talk about 12 corners and, you know, the corridors that we are creating, especially Monroe Ave. And you're really, I mean, you are forming very significant corners of the town, you know, center of the town. So I would definitely want to see a lot more brick, full height, and really push it. I would even, I mean, like the white stucco, neutral stucco is the entrance. That's really where you want that brick. The other thing I would ask you to explore from a form standpoint is, again, if you take your cue from the neighboring buildings across the intersections, they all take advantage of kind of the pie-shaped lots that they're on. So even ones that are, even like the school is a bunch of rectangles, but they're rectangles that then flare out and go then at angles. So right now, every single building does somehow angle off, curve. They take advantage of their lot lines, and they really kind of, you pull in that, it's like, I'm trying to find the words for it, but it's, the angles are weird, and that's what makes it special. So if you work with the angles, then you're really giving it more of a presence and working with your surrounding buildings and really tying it in versus just plopping a rectangle on a pie-shaped lot, whereas every other building around us has really embraced it. So I would love to see the form get a little, massage it a little more and really give it some pop and pizzazz and really make it work within with the site that you have. And I will question the Trex cladding. I started looking at it quickly today, and it did seem like a lot of the examples were all exposed fasteners, where there are a lot more sophisticated cladding systems that either look like wood or whether it's an aluminum panel or a composite panel. But there are some much nicer rain screen materials that have concealed fastening systems where you're getting the horizontal movement and the look of the wood, but I definitely wouldn't want to see exposed fasteners on there. So that's my first round, just to get the ideas going.
Okay, Fran.
Casey, those were excellent comments, specifically how the buildings follow the pie shape. I'm in complete agreement. But again, I think this is a great start with having a pedestrian front to a gas station. We all know what's there now, and this will be a big improvement. But I will echo again, following the pie shape, and also, I know this is your branding. If somehow the materials could be. These are pretty earth tony, which is you're correct, but yeah, I would like to see more brick, and I don't know if there's something else that could be done to tone down that big element in the front. It's pretty big and broad, and to have it as a bright white, maybe something could tone it down. But and also, I don't know if you've thought about your lighting, site lighting, what that would be. Obviously, there's got to be safety around the pumps, but what about for in the front? Do you have any thoughts on that yet?
So being how prominent the site is, we will definitely look at site lighting. We haven't, at this stage, we still haven't got into it, but that will certainly be a priority once we, dove a little bit deeper into the design.
Okay. But I think this is a great start. I know what you put into this, and we really appreciate the opportunity to comment ahead of time. So thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. Very, very helpful insight. We'll certainly, take a look at all the comments and try to integrate it. One of the challenging items that we've been dealing with is, again, the pie shape. And we've tried to respond to the pie shape by having a projection off the backside that kind of comes out into the pie shape. With being a convenience store, we programmatically, we really are tied to a box, and we've really stretched it from a floor plan standpoint by having the two entries. So I do appreciate your comment about the sensitivity to try to push the massing into that pie. And we will certainly explore it, but it will definitely come with some challenges.
Sure. Thank
Brian,
you.
Brian, thanks, Fran. Is Brian still on?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay.
I have a few comments, and some of the comments that were made about material and brick is well stated, but being in this particular area with proximity to the middle school and the high school, I would say the majority of your customers in that convenience store, at least during the school year, from the morning till the afternoon will be a lot of those kids. They will flock to this place like flies to honey.
So you're telling them to
because-
get organic wholesale food?
Yes. So in thinking about the landscaping in the front, immediately that the landscaping in the front will, if you leave it open, it will get destroyed because they won't consider the sidewalks. They'll just walk right through the grass. So that's something to consider. I believe there's a light post there, or a traffic light post there on that corner. But that's just something to consider because they won't care about the sidewalks. They'll just go right through it. So if there's additional things that you can do to that area, just knowing that it will be inundated with dozens and dozens of students during the day. And that's a little unique to this area. When kids have breaks in the middle school and the high school, they can leave and actually just go to the 12 Corners to get something to eat. And they will go to this convenience store to get something. There's no doubt. I can already see my daughter doing it, and she's going to be a sophomore next year. So another question I had is, how would a tanker truck come in here to fill the gas? Would it just go right through the one side of the parking lot on one side, stop and fill, if I'm looking at this?
This is Lou Terranoli, Director of Real Estate. I could answer that question with a yes. Basically would enter into the one side, take the load down, and then exit out of the other curb cut. So yes.
Same with the garbage disposal, that to pick up the dumpster with a front loading garbage truck, they would have to come in from Monroe Avenue and exit at Elmwood, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
And I would just like to point out, I'm hearing the comments about, the angles on the corner, and certainly understand how we're trying to mitigate that is with the seating that we have in front, with the part of the building that does about from the building. And also we'll have a bike rack, we'll have a bike repair center. And I'm definitely making some notes. I think the comments are very right on about, the grass area, and let's, look at that area right in the corner to make it maybe less accessible. And so the customer traffic will use more of the sidewalk. So we'll generate some ideas on that, but that's how we're trying to use the angle of the corner, by having some amenities for the residents and the customers.
The only other thing I was going to add is, and I don't know all of Quickly's philosophies, but I didn't know if there were any EV stations here, if that's something that's considered.
Yes, we have two planned, which
Okay.
would be on Monroe Avenue at the most south end of the site. Yes.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
Correct.
Great. All set. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a few comments, more from a site plan standpoint. And gentlemen, I do want to apologize for pushing you back. I did not know that there was a team involved here. So I just thought it was going to be a committee-based conversation. So my apologies. And Jerry, congratulations on the billing.
Well, the residents of town and all my neighbors certainly appreciate the fact that you pushed theirs forward. So it's all good.
So a couple comments. I think I would rethink your front or your back entranceway. I think you got some great opportunities to, one, really work with the forms that are there. I mean, we've all seen where, towns are creative with recharging the aquifer by putting lower level seating areas that could really work with the organic form of that corner. You see them out in Denver. We've seen them with clock towers, et cetera, where it's kind of a recessed patio. And then I think I would run your sidewalks closer to the building because you are going to get the cow paths going across your lawn. My big concern is, I'm not sure where you guys have come in from, but 7 months of our year is pretty dank and covered with snow. So I see some obstructions occurring within this corner with the amenities and snow removal. And also just, from a security standpoint, my concern is the impenetrable view into the building as well. So I don't know if the police department's looked at this plan and gave you any suggestions. We also have somewhere Monroe Avenue guidelines. I think those would be worthwhile looking at and seeing what works and what doesn't work on the avenue, because a lot of amenities have failed due to snow removal and lack of follow-up maintenance plans. I mean, the basic maintenance plans is what really can kill your investment. So your lighting, the concern there is you're going to have 2 lots highly lit, which has never occurred in Brighton before, both at your pumps and at your store. And then circulation too of suddenly you're going to increase volume of cars pulling into this corner and exiting. And one of our laneways ends at your exit and goes from a 2-lane to a 4-lane road down to a 2-lane road. That's on Elmwood Avenue. So your concern there is the speed and the room of exiting your parking area. The other is, so Penfield, the town of Penfield has tried these pocket parks on every single intersection and none of them work. They're at McDonald's, they're at, there might be even one of your stores at the corner of 250 and 441. I don't know if it's you or us, Speedwell or whatever their name is. It's an old Hess out there. There's a Rite Aid out there. The town has put these corner pocket parks in at almost every intersection. They're not used, they're not maintained. And I could see that happening here. The other site I can see this kind of looking like is at the corner of Culver and Sweet Fern up in Irondequoit. There is a corner gas station there with a convenience store, and the amount of traffic coming in and out is a boondoggle. It's probably not as organized as this, but I can see it folding into what's up there. But I give you a lot of credit for coming in with something new. I think our committee really likes to see that innovation. I would recommend also talking to the citizens, look at our results for charrettes that we've held in this 12 corner area. There's a lot of free information there. And those were all common denominators done by large citizen groups. And I think what you'll find is you'll be successful if you look at that, because that's what the people came up with. And if there isn't something there, offer a charrette to maybe your high school kids across the way, or to the neighborhood associations close by. It's free information. It goes a long way with a bucket of coffee and a few donuts on a Saturday morning. And I think you'll get some valuable information out of that. That's pretty much what I have to say. I think you guys will figure out the architecture and what works. So thanks for listening to us. And
Stuart,
yeah.
If there's time, I just want to add something real quick that I didn't mention before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since other people have mentioned that vulnerability of that green triangular space in the front, and you mentioned something about sunken or something like that, I'm thinking it's another opportunity to introduce that brick material on the ground plane to get, even if it's used in conjunction with concrete. I would, if you can get away with the footprint, I would think consider hardscaping that and then introducing some verticality behind where the benches are. So you're not sitting on a bench with your back to the road. It'll give a lot more structure because it's not really a pocket park. A pocket park is between two buildings. And the reason people like them is because they have a refuge, and that's partially created by the verticality on the sides. So if you can get, I know you don't want to obscure your building, but there are ways to get some verticality behind those benches and those green spaces, and then make the front a hardscape. And you can even detail the concrete with some brick going right up to the front door and introduce it partially or in selective areas.
Yeah, you know, Mary, they could even get even more creative, because I can just see all that furniture being used for skateboarding and everything else. And they could actually come up with a pretty active recreation area that actually maybe there is a walled area, a low wall sunken area at the corner with the curve that kids can actually use in the outdoors. And we know where they are, right? And
and
versus a
something
very
could be,
stale entrance. Yeah.
and something could be in that triangular space that would be like a pivot point, you know, around which circulation can take place, you know, some kind of monument, some kind of small thing, you know. I'm not going to suggest a fountain, but there are lots of things you could put there.
It itself could act as a retention pond with permeable paving and recharge the subsoils.
Sure, that's a little design project in itself. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't put lawn there unless you need some pervious surface, and you can achieve that also with what Stuart mentioned just now.
I would agree. Yeah, you could get really creative here and have a blast and be the new kid on the block and be a hero. So
we greatly appreciate the comments. I think what we're looking to get was a lot of what we got, and that is that you'd like to see the building up near the corner, like some of the creativity that's here. We're trying to meld a lot of different opinions relative to the finer points on this, but I think we're walking away with a little bit more a lot more break trouble in design of the building in terms of the elevations themselves. I think, you know, I can't profess to be anything other than a resident in town when it comes to architecture, certainly as opposed to you guys. But I think it's a pretty nice treatment that they're talking about of the building itself, and that's kind of what the town board wanted to get from you guys was dealing with the building and some of the elements that we were talking about.
has the Chamber of Commerce or any of them been engaged on this, especially some of the local businesses, you know, like Stu Baker across the street or you know, Core Life and you know, he's a pretty dynamic business owner. He's done some pretty good things, I think. I would encourage reaching out to a lot of them as well.
Okay.
It may help you with other cities they're in is also. So, but you got a good network here.
Okay. Ken, Lou, was there anything that you wanted to end or close with here?
I just wanted to, and this is Lou again, thank everyone for their time. Certainly have some detailed notes here and understand we have some homework, but I appreciate the specific feedback, and we'll go to work and come back with a plan and some ideas.
Great.
And I just wanted to say that Ken would have liked to have spoken, but he's having some technical problems on his end. So thank everyone for their time.
You bet. Thank you.
And thank the town board. I mean, obviously, there are times that you guys don't see things until they're way, way down the line. This is a relatively early preview and a good opportunity for you guys to have some input coming in. So we do appreciate it.
Yep. And we do talk with them, Jerry.
Yeah. I know.
So,
I know.
Anyone else have any other comments from our committee? All right, so I will adjourn our meeting if that's good, unless we have other things to look at.
Just one housekeeping comment. Our next meeting is in 3 weeks on July 28th. So if everyone if anyone knows they will not be able to attend, the sooner you tell me, the easier it is. So I would appreciate that. And I will try and send some more timely reminders as well, and not wait till a week before to give a heads up to folks. But thank you again for being accommodating for rescheduling today.
You bet. You bet.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone's time, and we'll see you at the end of the month.
Okay.
Stay healthy, stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.